everybody. Oh, scared cat. Hi, everyone. I might come back here so you can hear me. And welcome. Thank you for being here. I think it might just be you and me right now. I'm not sure. Maybe just one person and me. But still, thank you. So if you have never joined me before, I'm going to do some yoga today. And this yoga is accessible to everyone. The biggest thing is think of it as preventative physical therapy as opposed to trying to force yourself into something. It's more about listening to the body and going easy on yourself. So today I'm going to do something more gentle. Last time, actually, somebody was asking if you could do a whole yoga practice seated, and you can. But today, that is actually called chair yoga. But today I'm going to do a whole yoga practice without any standing poses. And this will be a more gentle practice. Doesn't necessarily have to be gentle, but I'm going to do a more gentle practice today because it seems like a good day for it. But yeah, I have chat, and I will check if you have questions or anything. I will try and check it periodically so I can answer any of those questions. And also, if you enjoy the stream, you enjoy the class, and you can, please feel free to donate. There's a donate button down below, and right below it there's a PayPal button if you'd prefer not to use the button through Streamlabs, which is the donate button. Either way, and if you can't donate or you don't want to today, also just sharing the word is very helpful out in the social media sphere. That helps too, so I appreciate it. But at the end of the day, I appreciate you guys being here. If there are not any questions before we start, let's go ahead and start. So let me turn on this music here first. That's important. Sorry for the wobbly camera. All right. Let me know if it's too loud or too quiet or anything. And we will start, you can start seated, you can start on your back, whichever feels most comfortable for you. But just close your eyes, and we're just going to focus on being right here. Let's start with the breath. Just see where it is. Don't feel like you need to change it. And just take some inhales. Let's switch to a deeper breath. Inhales through the nose, exhales through the mouth. Let's find one more. And then let's switch to just breathing in and out through the nose. Letting both of the inhale and the exhale be about the same length. This is the breath we'll bring into our work today, into the practice. And then if you're in a seated position, let's move to our backs. So just laying flat, and on an inhale, we're going to stretch arms over the head and just reach from fingers to toes. And then on an exhale, let's bring hands by the hips. Place the feet flat on the mat. And just let the knees fall together so you can walk the feet apart a little bit so the legs can rest. And we're going to find a head tilt. So on an exhale, just turning the head to one side. Inhale, center, and exhale to the other side. And just going from side to side with the same deep breaths in and out through the nose that we just started with. Let's find one more on both sides. And then come back to center with the head. Walk the feet back in so they are hip socket distance. So it's about 2 to 3 inches between the feet, so ankles and knees are in line with the hip sockets. We're going to find a pelvic tilt. So this is kind of like a reverse crunch. So for this, on an exhale, you're engaging the core, pulling the belly button in towards the spine a bit, just to gently curl the tailbone up. And as you can hopefully see, I'm not really lifting the tailbone off the mat a whole lot. On the inhale, release, and then again, exhale. Use the core just to curl the tailbone up. I'm just going with the breath. Let's find one more. Good, then after the last one, we're going to switch to some hip circles. So for this one, we're using the feet to lift the hips off the mat just a tiny bit. Then we're going to start to take the hips to the right. We'll begin to lift them higher and come to center at the highest point, and then drop them down to the left and back to center at the lowest point. And just going with the breath, inhaling as you lift, exhaling as you come back down. Try and isolate this movement through the hips. So we're not taking the knees or legs with the hips as much as possible. We're going to move a little bit. Let's find one more circle. And then switch. Go the opposite direction. I'm always surprised at how these small movements can be still a lot of intensity. So let's find one more. We'll meet back on the mat. And then we're going to switch to a bridge flow. So on an inhale, lift the hips straight up as high as feels comfortable. On an exhale, roll back down one vertebra at a time, and let's take the arms over the head. Then on the next inhale, lift the hips and drop the arms back beside the hips. Just going with the breath. This one's always a little confusing, I feel like, because the arms are kind of going opposite of the hips. That's good for your brain. I always get my breath wrong here. Most important thing is that you're breathing, more than breathing the right direction, if that makes sense. Just keep breathing. Let's find one more. I'm meeting back on the mat. From here, let's draw the right knee into the chest. Place hands behind the knee joint on the thigh. And we're just going to draw some circles with the ankle. You can go both directions with those circles. And let's switch. Drop that right foot down, draw the left knee up, same thing. Draw some circles. And let's bring the other knee into the chest of both knees, or to the chest, and let's rock side to side. Just to massage the back a little bit. And let's come back to center with the rocking. Place hands to the outside of the knees. We're going to switch to hip knee circles. So on an inhale, letting knees fall open, we'll start to drop feet towards the mat, but then we'll bring knees back together and exhale, knees to chest. And just going with the breath. Now, the feet don't come all the way down and the legs don't extend all the way out. I see people do that a lot in my classes, which it's not going to hurt you, but it just puts a whole lot more pressure on the back. And the goal of this is more about the hips than it is core or back. Let's take these circles in the opposite direction. So instead, we're letting both feet fall towards the mat and then letting the knees come apart and swing back around towards the chest. Find one more. And then once here, let's find a little bit of core work now. So we're going to do a bicycle crunch. So we'll place hands behind the head, interlacing fingers. We'll extend the left leg out on an exhale. Use the core to take the left shoulder towards the right knee. Inhale back at center as you begin to switch legs. Exhale to the other side. And just going with the breath. So if you take Pilates or have ever taken it, they do this one a lot faster. But we actually just still want to go with the breath. And that's because we're trying to build heat in the body. And these slow, deliberate movements help that. Not that fast doesn't. It's just different. We're building heat. And we're still trying to be a bit gentle on all the joints, the muscles. It's just different. Find one more on both sides. And then after the last one, we can drop the feet back down. From here, let's take arms to a T, so out from the shoulders. Finding the feet again about hip socket distance. They can be a little bit wider. And we're going to flow through a twist. So on an exhale, let both knees fall to one side. And then inhale the knees all the way to the other side. And just going with the breath, side to side. This is one of my most favorite flows because it feels good on my hips. Let's do one more on both sides. And then after that, let's roll along to one side. And we'll come up to all fours. We'll go this way. And once here, if you are protecting knees, want to go easy on your knees, use something, place some cushion under them. You could use, this is I think it's a meditation pad. One of my clients bought me. But it's nice, squishy. You can also just roll up the mat a little bit. Or you could use a blanket. You can use anything that will work. But coming to all fours, making sure wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. And we'll flow through cat-cow. So starting with cat on an exhale, rounding through the spine. Inhale, cow, curving through the spine. Good. We're just moving from the tailbone to the head. Make sure fingers are spread wide. Or if you're protecting wrists, use fists for wrists today. Anytime hands are on the mat, you can do that. Sounds like the mail lady is here. I don't know if you can hear that. Let's find one more through both. And then come back to a neutral spine, straight spine. And we're going to switch to lateral flexion. So we're just exhaling as we look back towards our feet. Inhale, center. Exhale to the other side. And just continuing with the breath. Hi, welcome to anybody who's just joining us. We're still moving through the warm-up. And today we're just doing a practice that has no standing poses in it. So it's a more gentle practice today. Let's find one more on both sides. Coming back to center, let's switch to spinal balance. So on an inhale, take the right arm and the left leg out in line with the spine. Flex the foot, reach from heel to fingertips. We'll exhale, we'll release. We'll switch sides. Left arm, right leg. Good, and just continuing with the breath at your own pace. Let's find one more on both sides. And after the last one, let's come back to child's pose. So we're going to sit back on heels, bringing the forehead to the mat. Or if the forehead doesn't come to the mat and it's uncomfortable, you could stack fists under the forehead to lift a little higher. And you can rock side to side here, just massage the hips a bit. And then on our next inhale, let's come forward to kneeling plank. I'm going to put this back under my knees. So for kneeling plank, shoulders are stacked over wrists, hips are past knees. We're going to move through a few push-ups. So shift the body forward a little bit more. Exhale, bend the elbows to kneeling crocodile without dropping hips or belly to the mat. Inhale, push back to kneeling plank. And exhale, child's pose. Ooh. Something on my foot. Okay. And again, inhale forward, kneeling plank, shift forward a bit, exhale crocodile, come back to kneeling plank, exhale child's pose. Good, and just going a few more times with the breath. Again, you can always go at your own pace. You don't have to go at my speed. Let's do two more. Good, let's come back. So this time, we're going to add something to this flow. So inhale back to the plank, exhale crocodile, and then continue all the way to the mat, and we'll inhale low cobra. So just using the core to lift the shoulders, hands mostly rest. Exhale, lead with the hips, come back to child's pose. And again, inhale, forward to kneeling plank, shift forward, exhale, kneeling crocodile, down to the mat. Inhale, low cobra, and exhale back to child's pose. Good, let's do two more of these. Ooh. Inhale, kneeling plank, shift forward, crocodile. All the way down. Inhale, low cobra. One more. Coming back to child's pose. Coming back to child's pose for the last time. All right, once here, let's come back to all fours. And then we're going to step the left foot through to a lunge. I'm going to add some cushion under this right knee. And I'm going to use blocks. These are yoga blocks right here. They are helpful if, like for me, my hands will come to the mat, but it's a lot of my back. You don't have to have them. You can have hands on the mat. You could also have hands on something else. I've used an ottoman before. But just make sure front knee stacked on top of the front ankle. And we're going to move through this lunge. So inhaling as the hips go back, and then exhaling them forward. Just with the breath at your own pace as always. All right, let's meet in our next lunge. And once here, we're just going to inhale both arms up. Exhale, hinge forward, sweep the arms forward. Inhale back up. And just go with the breath. Hi, Bondo. Welcome. Or maybe you've been here the whole time. Yeah, the knee pads help a lot. You can use a blanket too. Just a blanket that's a little bit, has some structure to it is a little bit better usually. Let's find one more of these. And then we'll come back, hands on the mat. And let's switch sides. So you can step back to all fours. And we'll step the right foot through. And then again, make sure the front knee stacks on top of the front ankle. And when you're ready, we'll move through it on this side. So inhaling as hips go back, exhaling forward. Find two more. Meeting back at our lunge. We'll again inhale, sweeping arms up. Exhale, hinge forward, sweep arms forward. Inhale up. Just going with the breath. Cutting off the top of my head. Hello, the real POTUS. Hey, you're welcome. Thanks for being here. No worries being late. This is a nice gentle practice today. We are not going to do any standing poses. I'm always actually, yoga has a lot of versatility. You can do yoga in so many different ways. You can adapt it to so many different things. So let's come back down. Let's step back to all fours. And then from here, let's inhale forward to our kneeling plank from earlier. And let's just hold it this time. Just find a few deep breaths in this pose. You can also do full plank if you want, curling the toes under. Just make sure the spine is long. And in plank, think about the head being the highest point. So it's really easy to want to drop the head down, especially in full. But that actually rounds the spine a little bit. So keep reaching through the top of the head. Try and keep elbows from locking. Focus on those deep breaths. From here, let's bend the elbows. Let's come all the way down to the mat. And let's hold low cobra. So we're just using the core to lift. Hands are resting mostly. Press the tops of the feet into the mat. You can squeeze the glutes as well, if you want. And keep breathing. You're going to lift a bit with those inhales. Let's find one more breath. And after the last one, use the core to lift, the arms to lift. Come back to child's pose for just a moment. Let the back release. That was a big change in music. Okay, let's inhale back to all fours. And we're going to hold spinal balance. So on an inhale, take the right arm and the left leg out in line with the spine. Hold here. Flex the foot. Reach from fingertips to heel. So I'm going to switch to this. Also reaching through the top of the head. Still breathing. Good. Next exhale, release. Next inhale, switch. Left arm, right leg, holding here. Breathing deep. Let the left hand be a blade, so the pinky finger's closest to the floor. Try and avoid letting the back sag down. Next exhale, let's release, coming back to all fours. Good. From here, we're going to come back to a lunge. So let's step forward with the left foot. We're going to hold the lunge this time. So let's take a moment holding here. We're sinking this back hip in a little bit, which is going to stretch this hip flexor. If you can see, I can't even see my own hand. See right here. But again, always make sure front knee's on top of the ankle, and that's to protect the knee. When the knee goes past the ankle, it puts a whole lot of pressure on it, which over time can give you trouble. All right, so from here, we're gonna add a back bend. So keeping the hips where they are, we're just gonna sweep the arms up. Good, and we're holding here. Hopefully you can see. Yeah, my arms are just up. Think about lifting the heart. You can take the head back a little bit too. Just make sure you don't crunch the neck. A good way to tell is if you place a hand on the back of the neck, where that hand stops the head is as far as you wanna go. Good. Next exhale, let's come back down. And we're going to switch to a hamstring stretch. So we're just taking the hips back. As they come back, make sure this right hip doesn't go past the knee like that. Avoid that. Again, too much pressure on the knee. So adjust if you need to. And then this front foot is flat, or you can flex it, lifting the toes off the mat. This is a little more intensity because we're flexing the hamstring, which is what we're stretching. So we're adding more stretch, basically. Make sure this knee doesn't lock so circulation keeps flowing. And then try and keep the spine straight. So it's really easy in poses, any of these kind of really hamstring stretches. We all want to like round the back, try and get the forehead to the leg. Try to not focus on that because we put pressure on the back by doing that. So just try and keep the spine straight. You can draw the torso closer, but think about trying to get the belly button towards the toes, which sounds ridiculous, never going to happen, but it focuses your attention down here as opposed to up here. Oh, and think about pressing the left hip back. So it's almost, you'll feel like you're twisting the hips almost. Okay, let's find one more deep breath. On an exhale, we're going to come back to our lunge. And then we're going to add a twist. So make sure this right wrist is directly underneath the right shoulder. Hand can be on the mat, of course, doesn't have to be on a block. Left hand to the left thigh. Reach through the top of the head before you twist. And then the belly's going to go towards the front leg. So belly first, work up the spine, head last. You can keep the left hand here. You can sweep the left hand up. You can pick up the back knee if you want and make this a runner's lunge, but you don't have to. Lots of choices, but hug this leg against the torso. That's to protect all these joints, ankle, knee, hip. Also helps protect the back. Just reaching through the top of the head. Still breathing. I hope you're still breathing. Breathing's important. I don't want anybody to stop breathing. Let's find one more deep breath. Exhale, come back to center. Let's switch legs. So step back to all fours again. Let's step the right knee through. And we'll just start sinking the hips forward a little bit. So we're stretching this back hip flexor. Again, knee on top of ankle. I don't know where my cat is. She's usually over here trying to destroy something by this point. Guess she's not into it today. Sorry for the lack of cat. All right, let's add the back bend on this side. So this time we'll come up, but we're gonna sweep arms behind us for chest expansion. So clasp the hands or hold an imaginary beach ball or hold any object you have. Anything will work. Cell phone would work, sock, sweater, whatever you have, book. Let's find the variation you want. Think about lifting the heart. You can turn your gaze to the sky if you want, but again, don't crunch the neck. Still keep the hips coming forward, pressing into that front foot a bit. Next exhale, release the hands, come back to the lunge. And let's switch to hamstring stretch. So take the hips back. Again, make sure this left hip doesn't go past the knee. Make sure this knee doesn't lock on the front leg. You can keep this foot flat or flex it. You see that? Okay. And then make sure the spine stays straight. And you can always draw the torso closer to the leg if it's comfortable. Think about pressing the right hip back behind you a bit. Oh yeah, this is this weird space song. It's kind of cool and also kind of weird. Royalty-free music fascinates me. Good, let's find one more deep breath. Exhale, come back. And we're gonna switch to our twist. So left hand, left wrist is in line with the left shoulder, right hand to the right thigh, long spine. When you're ready, belly's gonna go first to the right, head last. Reaching through the top of the head. I'm gonna turn this way so I'm not facing away from you all. Ow. Okay. Oh, now my head's right in the title. That's kind of cool. It's like an arrow pointing. Level up your decks. Good. And again, hug this thigh against the chest. You can sweep the right hand up. You can pick up the back knee. You can adjust this however you would like. Whew. It's toasty in here. Let's find 2 more deep breaths. And that second exhale, oh, there's cat. That second exhale, turn back to center. And let's step back to all fours. Let's come back to child's pose again for just a moment. Finding a few deep breaths here, but this time, bring palms together, bend at the elbow, and point fingertips towards the sky. We'll just get a bit of a stretch in the upper arm. All right, let's come to all fours. Actually, let's come back to child's pose and let's move through vinyasa. So just a kneeling vinyasa. We'll inhale forward to kneeling plank. We did it earlier. We're going to shift forward, bend elbows to kneeling crocodile. Release hips and belly to the mat. Inhale, use the core to lift the shoulders into low cobra. Exhale, lead with the hips, keeping the back flat. Come back to child's pose. Let's do another. Inhale, come back to kneeling plank. Shift forward. Exhale, kneeling crocodile. Shift forward, inhale, up dog or low cobra, and exhale back to down dog or child's pose. Good. Then from here, come back to all fours, and we're gonna switch to a kneeling side plank. So we're gonna pick up this left knee a little bit as you turn the foot behind you like a kickstand, extend the right leg out, sweep the right hand to the sky, stacking shoulders. So this is our kneeling side plank. If you want a little more intensity, you can pick up this right leg, bringing it in line with the spine. Right foot is flexed. So it's your choice. Otherwise, the foot is still flexed. It's on the mat. This right hand could also go to the hip if you're protecting that shoulder. You can also use fist for wrist to take a little pressure off of the bottom wrist. Hello, welcome. If you're just joining me, welcome, welcome. We're doing yoga, as you can clearly see, I think. Good, so from here we're going to switch to a gate pose. Hopefully you'll be able to see this. So we're going to come all the way up to a kneeling position. This right foot is going to go flat with toes pointed the same direction you are. Left hand will sweep up. We want the wrist to stack over the shoulder here. And then we're peeling the body away from the left arm a bit, bringing the right hand to the right leg. So this stretches this left side. And you might get a stretch in this inner right thigh and hip as well. But just continuing to reach up, send deep breaths, send inhales into the ribs here. And that sounds weird, I know. What does it mean, send inhale? But a lot of those kinds of comments and statements are about putting it in the mind and it'll move into the body. It's where your focus goes. All right, next exhale, let's come back to our side plank. From here, we'll drop the right hand down, pick up the knee, come back to all fours. I'm going to switch sides so I don't turn and face the wall. But from here, we're going to pick up the right knee, turn the right foot behind you like a kickstand, extend the left leg out, sweep the left hand up for our side plank. And again, you can lift this left leg for a bit more intensity if you want. You can keep it on the mat. Left hand can go to the hip. You can use fist for wrists on this right, this right hand. See, be even on both sides. Trying to remember what I did. I don't know if all of you guys have ever been here before, you may have heard this, but did you know that I hated yoga before I started teaching it? Straight up hated it. I took a class in college and it was awful. I mean, you know, it was a 9 a.m. class in college, which was a bad idea my senior year, but still hated it. And then I found this particular style. It's like, okay, I get it. I like it. Okay, let's switch to gait. So press off with the right hand, come all the way up. Oh, losing my head again. Here, let me scoot this way. So left leg is extended out. The foot is flat. Toes are pointed same direction you are. Right arm's going to go to the sky. The wrist stacks over the shoulder. And then peel the body away, bringing the left hand to the left leg. Just try to avoid the knee. Try to avoid putting any pressure on it if you can. Let me adjust here. Good, and then sending the breath into this right side. I feel like aliens are attacking us now in this space song. I kind of like it. Let's find one more deep breath. Exhale, come all the way back to the side plank. Let's drop the left hand down, come back to all fours. Then from here, we're going to drop down to forearms. So find elbows under shoulders and then clasp hands, but on the pinky fingers, instead of, see if you can see this, instead of crossing it like this, stack one on top of the other like that. Just so we don't put all this weight on pinky fingers. All right, we're going to curl the toes under and lift to a dolphin pose. So if you've done down dog, it's very similar, except we're on the forearms. And let's actually hold here for a moment. Just let the head and neck hang between the arms. And then we're going to move through a swimming dolphin. So on an exhale, bend the knees, shift the body forward so you're gazing over the thumbs. Inhale, come back. And again, exhale, shift forward. Inhale, come back. Good, just going with the breath a few times. Good, next time we come forward, let's stay here. I'm going to switch this to a forearm plank by walking the feet back, getting those hips down low, holding, finding those deep breaths. Uh-oh, my battery's going to die. So keep holding for just a few deep breaths. I forgot to get my charger. I'll be right back. All right, one more deep breath. On the exhale, release it, come back to child's pose. Take a few deep breaths there. There we go, we have power. Okay, child's pose. Letting everything release a moment. All right, from here, let's come back to all fours. And let's sink hips to one side. We're going to swing the legs around to seated staff. Oh, hello, I have more people joining me. Hello, Consuela. Yes, the wrong teacher can. And that was part of my problem with the yoga class I took. It was the wrong teacher. And also I just didn't like the style. There's like a bajillion styles of yoga. All right, so we're in seated staff. We're going to do a hamstring stretch. So we want to sit tall on these sits bones or butt bones, bones in your butt. If you feel like you're falling backwards, back is rounding, elevate the hips. Sit on anything you have to elevate them. It can be the mat, you could roll it up, it could be a block, it could be whatever. Feet flexed, long spine. On the exhale, hinge forward, walk hands down the legs, but stop when the spine begins to round. It's the same thing as we did before. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Tanak, for the follow. I appreciate it. Oh, wow. I already taught a yoga class this morning. This is my second one, you guys. I have one more later today. So much yoga. My body, it's like, what's with all the yoga? All right. Let's find one more deep breath here. On the exhale, let's come back up. Thank you. That's awesome. Van is great. I used to play with her on Saving Throw, on Iron Keep for a while. I don't know what that is. Okay, we're going to switch to boat. I feel like we did this one last time if you were here. But for boat, we're going to place hands behind the knee joint on the thigh. Lean back so we're balanced on these butt bones again. And then one at a time, we'll bring both legs up, holding here. Try and keep the spine straight. You can take the hands off the legs if you want a little more intensity. It's all about core. And you guys, feel free to tell me. I'm always interested to hear how these practices feel for people because it's going to feel different for me. I mean, it's going to feel different from person to person. But I only know what my body feels like. So it's helpful sometimes to hear from others. Because there's some, I think I mentioned this last time, but not all poses work for all bodies. Some poses just don't work as well for some people. And that's okay. Let's find one more deep breath. On the exhale, let's go ahead and drop feet back down. And let's switch to butterfly. So we'll let knees fall open, bring soles of the feet together. We want to sit tall. Again, elevate the hips if you need to, if you feel like you're falling backwards. Keep about a foot's distance between the heel and pelvis so we don't crunch the knees. Find a long spine, reach through the top of the head. If it's comfortable for you, you can hinge forward. You can hold on to ankles or walk hands out in front. Just try to avoid holding on to toes as that pulls on all these tiny little itty bitty joints. And we want to avoid that. But also, if you have hands on ankles, you're coming forward, it's comfortable. You can press elbows into your thighs a little bit, which can feel nice. I have a love-hate relationship with this pose. My hips don't always like it, but sometimes it feels really good. So what other kinds of things do you guys tend to watch on Twitch? I know obviously some of you watch Saving Throws, you watch RPGs, but I saw somebody, it was Perfect Cosima, was cooking yesterday. I love cooking. I was like, hey, that's kind of fun. I might try that. I'm definitely going to play Beat Saber, which I think I've said a bajillion times. Gaurav Gulati, double GXG, if you don't know him, suggested I go ahead and start playing Beat Saber, even though I don't have my mixed reality set up yet. So maybe I will. Maybe I will. Let's find two more deep breaths here. The second exhale, let's come back up. Let's bring the knees back together. And let's extend the right leg out. And we're going to cross, actually, let me turn this way. And we're going to cross the left foot over the right leg if it's comfortable. You could also stay here. And we're going to find a twist. So this is another pose where we want to sit nice and tall, reaching through the top of the head. Then we're going to let belly go first to the left, head last. Then you have some options here. So you can place this left hand behind the hip, just avoid leaning back. So think about using those fingertips or the hand to press the torso to center. This right arm can wrap around the left leg. It could also cross over this leg. It could also find a prayer position. So there's a lot of options here. And again, you can do this without crossing the left foot over. So whatever feels best for you here. Just breathing deep. Also, if you guys have any wants from these yoga practices, let me know. I can really adjust things for a lot of different desires, I suppose. That sounded creepy. I just mean that I can take requests, is what I meant. In the creepiest way possible. Okay, let's find one more deep breath. Exhale, come back to center. And then from here, if the leg's crossed, go ahead and uncross it. And let's switch to cradle the baby. We're not going to do the full cradle the baby. But place hands behind the hips, fingers turning in towards the body. And we're going to draw this right leg up and cross the right ankle over the left thigh. We're just going to hold here. So we're looking for the stretch in this right outer hip and glute. I'll turn this way too so you can kind of see what this looks like. We want to try to keep this knee open and this foot flexed. And then you can adjust the intensity by extending the left leg out further for less, drawing the knee in closer for more. Just breathing into those hips, those glutes. This is where I'm really tight. It's that piriformis in the butt, basically, that muscle. Find 2 more deep breaths here. Oh yeah. Similar to yin yoga. We focus more on stretching today than anything else. On the exhale, let's release. And we'll switch sides. So I'm going to turn this way. So extending the left leg out. We'll find the twist first. So right knee is bent, foot is flat, or cross it. Foot is still flat, but cross it over the left leg if you want. Long spine when you're ready. Belly first to the right, head last. You can wrap this left arm around. You can cross the elbow over it. Right hand could go behind the hip. You can find the prayer position. Whatever feels best for you. Yeah. Yes, it is more about stretching. You could do a whole practice that's just about stretching. You could do a whole practice that's more about strength. However, you would still do some stretching. Yoga pretty much always has stretching, which is good. You want that. You want that in any practice, really. Any exercise. At least some kind of cool down. Yes. You would probably not like my group classes, Bondo, the ones I teach at the Y. Everyone likes my classes because I hold the poses for a long time. Let's find one more deep breath. The exhale, turn back to center. We'll uncross this right leg if it's crossed. Hands behind the hips, fingers turn in towards the body. Draw the left leg up, cross left ankle over the right thigh. And finding cradle the baby. Keep the foot flexed, keep that knee open as much as you can. And again, you can adjust the intensity. So extend the leg out for less. Bring it in closer to the body for more. Guys, I'm still really fascinated by Twitch. I don't have, outside of RPGs at Saving Throw, which is kind of a different thing entirely. I don't have a lot of experience with this kind of stuff, so I'm kind of fascinated by it. So share with me your thoughts, whatever your thoughts are. You don't like arm balances, Bondo? I don't tend to teach a lot of those. I just, there's validity in them for sure, but I think that people tend to think they need to be able to do those to do yoga, and you don't. It's just not, they're not accessible for everyone, which is okay. They don't have to be. And in fact, they're not always safe for everyone. There's a lot of things. I'll show you guys some at some point, but I don't usually teach them. Next exhale, let's go ahead and release. And from here, Let's rotate through our wrists a little bit. My wrists need it. Here's another cool thing for wrists. If you take one hand and you wrap it kind of right at the base of the hand here, almost like you're trying to kind of not cut off circulation, but cut off the space between the arm and the hand. What you're really doing is supporting it. And then just shake that hand. Kind of decompresses the wrist a little bit. And switch. You can do it on the other arm. And then let's release. And let's go to our backs, because that's a comfortable place to be. So place both hands behind one leg. Use that leverage to come all the way back. Let's place feet flat. Place hands by the hips. And we're going to find a bridge pose. We'll hold it this time. So on an inhale, lift hips straight up. Squeeze the inner thigh a little bit to keep knees in line with the hip sockets. Knees on top of ankles. Just holding here. Avoid turning the head side to side since we are at an angle with some pressure on the neck. Let's find one more deep breath. On the exhale, let's roll back to the mat. Let's come to knees to chest to let the back release. You can rock. You can just hold the pose if you want. This is probably one of the best poses. At least in my opinion. And then let's switch to legs up the wall. So ankles stack over hips. Feet are flexed. You can let arms rest by your sides. You could also place fists under the hips if you want for a little extra lift. Just gonna feel nice on the back. Just breathing here. This pose can be a bit intense if the hamstrings are kind of tight. Hopefully we loosen them up a little bit so it's a little less intense. Or it can be relaxing. And if that's the goal, is for it to be relaxing. But it is a partial inversion. So the idea is that we're not reversing the blood flow, but it's kind of washing through the body in a different way. It's funny because I know a lot of these kinds of things, but when you find yourself needing to explain them, it's not always easy for it to make sense. All right, next, exhale. Let's drop the feet back to the mat. And let's switch to a twist. So from here, let's take arms to a T out from our shoulders. And what we're going to do is use the feet to lift the hips up and take them over to the right. And then let both knees fall to the right. I'm sorry, take them towards the left, but over to the right hip is what I meant. And then let both knees fall to the right and turn your gaze to the left. And just release here in this twist. Let's find 2 more deep breaths. And second exhale, come back to center and we'll switch. So use the feet to lift the hips up, take the hips to the right, so we're on the left hip, and then we're gonna let both legs fall to the left. And you can turn your gaze to the right. And just releasing into the pose. You can adjust the legs to find where they're comfortable. My body is a little bit twisted. One leg is longer than the other, so one hip is kind of compacted, which when I do twists, on one side, my body kind of wants to fall, It's kind of interesting. The more you do stuff like this, you'll probably start to notice some of that kind of stuff. But you can try to adjust your imbalances, basically by, say, one leg is tighter than the other, then stretch that one a little longer than the other one. Things like that. But it's not easy. It takes time. Let's find one more deep breath. On the exhale, we'll come back to center. And let's switch to final relaxation. So you can lay flat in corpse pose, which is what Shavasana is. It's just the Sanskrit term of it. And for that, let the palms stay face up, arms by your sides. Give a little space between the feet so legs can rest. And you can close your eyes here. And I'm going to come up to seated, but you can stay laying flat, or you can come up to seated as well if you want. Just finding a comfortable position. Turning attention back to those deep breaths. In and out through the nose. Just let them be deep, but don't feel like you need to force them. And on the exhales, feel the body release. Just let it melt. A little bit more each time. And letting the mind really focus on the senses. You could call this a meditation. I mean, it is a meditation, or for final relaxation. We're not trying to escape. We're not trying to close anything off or get away. But instead, we just want to be right here. We want to be present. And to be present, the mind needs something to focus on. So let it focus on your surroundings. Focusing on what you feel, focusing on what you hear, on what you see, on what you smell. And if the mind wanders, just bring it back. Bring it back to the sounds. I find that the sounds are the one that helps me stay present the most. Still checking in with the breath. Still letting it be deep, slow. And then let's start to wiggle fingers and toes. And you can rotate through wrists and ankles. And let's stretch arms over the head. If you're on your back, you can reach through the toes as well. And let's open the eyes wide and the mouth. Stick out the tongue. Take a deep exhale. And then if you're on your back, go ahead and roll onto one side. And you can use hands to come up to seated. Lion's breath, that tongue out breath. So ridiculous, but it feels really good. So once you're back to seated, let's find one more deep breath as we sweep arms up. Exhaling, hands back to the heart. Just taking a moment to settle here. Taking a moment to check back in. Just see what you notice in the body. Come back into the present here. And thank you all for joining me today and sharing this practice. Namaste. I hope you feel a little looser, a little more relaxed maybe. Any of those things are definitely a benefit. But yeah, again, I really appreciate you guys coming. This is kind of a an experiment on my part to see how Twitch yoga goes. But I hope you enjoy it. Please feel free to ask any questions if you like. I'm happy to stick around for some questions for a little bit. Or if you have any requests for next time, I am going to continue to do these classes Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. Maybe eventually, if it seems to get enough interest, I'll do another one. But for now, I think we're good where we are. And if you did enjoy it and you feel that you can, the donate button is right below. It will help me continue to bring these classes to you. Anything, even $1 means it makes a difference. It really does. And I appreciate it. If you can't or you don't want to, also just sharing about my channel and sharing about this class is also very helpful. So I appreciate it. Thank you. Sorry, don't worry about it. Not, how do I say your name? Not it. Naughty it. I'm horrible at these, so I apologize. I need to fix that. My Streamlabs freaks out about every little thing. So, yeah. Anyway, I'll fix it. It'll be better. Let's see if I can get my cat to come over here. Zuko! Zuko! No, she's just going to stare at her toy. Come here. Come here. Zuko! Well, again, thank you guys for being here. Here, I'll throw it over there. You can get it. I will be back on Tuesday at 10 a.m. for more. I may try to stream some Beat Saber tomorrow. I don't know. Maybe keep your eyes open for it. But also, if you like RPGs, most of you may already know this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Join us tomorrow night, Friday night, on twitch.tv/Saving Throw Show. We will be playing Wild Cards. This is a premiere of our second season. We're playing Savage Worlds East Texas University, which is sort of like a Buffy setting. So join us for that if you would like. It's a good time to jump in. And also, this Saturday, we are doing the Longest Day, which is Alzheimer's Association's fundraising event that they do every year. And we will be doing a marathon. Oh, thank you so much, Bondo. Thank you. I very much appreciate that. We will be doing an all-day marathon. Starts at 9 a.m. goes until midnight on Saturday, the 22nd, over at Saving Throw Show. You can follow them on Twitch if you haven't already. You can follow them on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or us, I guess I should say. But yeah, I will be running a game at 7:30 p.m. Pacific. It is a Savage Worlds game, and it is called Key House. It is inspired by Joe Hill's Lock and Key. If you have not read that graphic novel, highly recommend. It's very good. But it's sort of like a supernaturally horror. I don't know. Hard to explain. Joe Hill's stuff is hard to explain. It's kind of like fantasy, but not. I don't know. But yeah, join us for that. And all day we will be raising money and we will be playing games. Lots of fun people are going to be there. Havana's going to be there. Nega Orcs is going to be there earlier in the day. Abria, if you know Abria, she's going to be there. The whole Wild Cards cast will be playing a Key House with me if you know them. It should be fun. But if you don't know, Alzheimer's is really, really an important cause for me. My mother has early onset and she has had it for probably over 7 years, but 7 years that we know of. I am essentially her caretaker. And my grandmother, great-grandmother, and great-aunt all died from Alzheimer's. So it is very, very important that we get rid of this horrible, horrible disease. If you have not been around anyone who has had it, it is very cruel in a lot of ways. Not that other ones aren't, but it is cruel, and it's not talked about a whole lot. It needs more awareness and more money. It is the number 6 killer in America. It's going up, and I have heard that really it should be listed as higher than that because often Alzheimer's leads to things like pneumonia or falls or other things like that, which tends to be on the death certificate instead of Alzheimer's. So that is something to be aware of. I know, saving what? I don't know. Awesome. Again, thank you guys so much. Hopefully Zuko will make an appearance next time. I don't know what she's doing today. She's over there on the chair, but yeah, I really do appreciate you guys. I know I've said that a million times, probably sound like a crazy person, but I really do. This is, if you don't know, I talk about it a lot. I have a lot of anxiety. So this is something that I put off for a long time because I was anxious about it. So just the fact that you're here means a lot. I appreciate it.